Let's go to our panel now, and Tim Blair is out of action this week, so it's great to have Lisa Goddard from Adoni Media step into the breach, joining us live from Brisbane. Good evening to you, Lisa, and we've got Mark Nicholson, of course, from Stepmate Studios in Melbourne. Now, I've got to share something with you. Now, I talked at the top of the program how no one condones the grabbing of a baby wombat and keeping it away from its mother, although it was given back. But it's a silly thing to do, sure. But the hysteria over this and the government threatening to deport someone is just embarrassing from a government that doesn't seem to do security checks on people from Gaza and doesn't, it's insane. So just remind viewers, have a look. This is what the influencer Sam Jones did.
Look at the mother. It's like, oh, it's chasing after her.
I got a baby wombat. Okay, Mama's right there.
All right, silly move, bad move. If it's against the law, prosecutor, yada, yada, yada. But have a listen to just now in Perth in the last few minutes. Have a listen to what the Prime Minister said.
To take a baby wombat from its mother and clearly causing distress from the mother is just an outrage. And, I suggest to this so-called influencer, maybe she might try some other Australian animals. Take a baby crocodile from its mother and see how you go there. Take another animal that can actually fight back rather than stealing a baby wombat from its mother. See how you go there.
This is a bloke who couldn't get angry at the Chinese, who made all the excuses for the Chinese. This is a bloke who hadn't even seen the footage of the way the Bibas family had been treated by Hamas in the Middle East, Lisa. This bloke never gets outraged about the important things, but he's going bananas about a wombat.
And so sincere as well, Chris. I watched that as it was just playing before we came back from ad break and couldn't believe that the Prime Minister is making this what he is outraged about. Have a look around the country. Have a look at the cost of living crisis. Have a look at what's been announced about energy prices and what we're about to be hit with. And this is the issue that he wants to take issue with in a press conference. Yes, it was the wrong thing to do. Yes, there are people up in arms about it. Whether the government should be deporting her or not, there are other people I would suggest who they should be looking at as to whether they should be deported from this country. Not exactly, not an American influencer who is there and, yes, did the wrong thing, but for goodness sake, move on and look at the big issues.
Mark, I could go on. There's the Muslim preacher celebrating the slaughter of Israelis. There's the mobs chanting F the Jews at the Opera House. None of this stuff drew sharp words and passion and anger and outrage from the Prime Minister, but the wombat does.
Nah, this is perfect for him, mate. You can't be for it. So what is it, two-way elbow? You can't. And it still took him till this afternoon to come out and be against it, by the way, and come out firmly and strong. Even Penny came out this morning on Today and had very strong words about it. Yet she hasn't ever spoken about anti-Semitism on the rise or anything like that. They just want to ride the positive wave every time. They just want to be with the majority of people. They're scared. They're terrified. It sums them up perfectly, mate, and your anger is completely justified here because it's emblematic of their entire strategy.
I mean, this to me, Lisa... And Chris, yeah, go on.
I was going to say, Chris, this may be something that Tony Burke actually comes out and speaks about, because how often has he just gone to ground when you actually have serious questions?
Well, this is a bloke, that Tony Burke hasn't deported any of these hate preachers. He hasn't stamped any of this stuff out, but now he's threatening to deport someone for cuddling a wombat. And I repeat, the wombat was given back to the mother. But when it comes to Albo, Lisa, it's like he doesn't understand the world. It's like, I don't know what to say about China. It's too scary. I make excuses for them. I don't know what to say about Donald Trump. I don't know what to say about anti-Semitism. So I just go read some talking points and go, But the wombat, he understands that, he gets that, and he gets fired up about it.
Oh, but Chris, from a messaging perspective, it shows he has a heart. You know that. You've been sitting in these meetings long enough. You know what the key messaging would have been leading into that. It's an opportunity to go out there and, along with the wedding plans, it shows you have a heart.
It does my head in. I tell you, I'll be very interested to see what my great colleague and friend Sharry Markson says about this last night, because she, like me, has been absolutely outraged at the lack of concern and passion over anti-Semitism and the like, yet the wombat gets him fired up. It's pathetic. The wombat. Oh, dear. Let's talk about another issue that's going to be very difficult for people around the country, and that is electricity prices. And here's our mate, the Climate Change and Energy Minister, Chris Bowen.
Shows the need to keep on going more than ever before with the plan to introduce more of the cheapest, most reliable form of energy for Australians, and that, of course, is renewable energy.
Yeah, you heard right there, Mark. He said that renewable energy is reliable energy.
The audacity of the man. You could tell when he saw that report this morning, 9% increase to power bills. I hope he was wearing his brown jocks, because that would have been a horrible morning for him. And you can tell he had a bad time at that press conference, because look how sweaty he is. Get that man a wind turbine fast. He's dripping. We're worried about climate change. I'm worried about Bowen's temperature increasing by 1%. And that's going to be a national disaster. Goodness gracious. Get the man a drink. He's had plenty of red wine. Get him some water. Calm him down a little bit.
He snuck out for an early press conference. He won't come onto a program like this and discuss this stuff. Peter Dutton was on to him today.
If the Prime Minister doesn't sack Chris Bowen, I don't know when he would sack him, because he deserves to lose his job over forcing up the electricity prices of Australians yet again.
Well, he's not going to be sacked or resigned, Lisa, but is this a good call from Peter Dutton? Do you think it'll get a head nod around the country?
I think it's already had a lot of head nods around the country. He says it's a total failure, and it is. And now, Chris, let's talk about Paul Murray, one of our great mates. He always says it's the Jedi mind trick, right? So you've got Chris Bowen there saying, you know, prices are coming down, it's reliable, it's affordable energy, it's going to solve everything for us. Every time he says that, the reality is what he doesn't want people believing is what's in front of them on their electricity bills. He's saying one thing, the Jedi mind trick is don't believe what your electricity bill says or what it's going to say by July when these changes come in, because it's basically a mandate to retailers to go out there and push the prices up further.
You know, I've seen Paul talk about the Jedi mind trick so many times, and I don't understand it because I've never seen Star Wars, but I know everybody else does. I better check with him after the show, get him to explain this one to me. It is just extraordinary. We've heard this presser that's been happening while we're on air in Perth. The Prime Minister was asked about electricity prices there, and here's what he had to say.
We understand that people are doing it tough, and that's why we've provided cost of living measures. Every single one of those cost of living measures has been opposed by Peter Dutton and the Coalition.
Yeah, he understands that people are doing it tough, Mark, so he's borrowing more of our money to throw more of our money back to us that he can get back from us from our taxes.
Yeah, and I think it was Tucker Carlson when he came out to the country for a speaking tour. He put it really well. It's basically he outlined the dot points of the whole thing, and he said anyone that's doing this does not love you, and that is so evident here as well. I'm glad he understands that we're all doing it tough, but. Can we talk about the wombat, please? We need to talk about the wombat. The wombat's more important
The wombat's doing it tough. Let's talk about the spending, right? They've got this budget coming up in less than a fortnight. Here's a very easily digestible version of what Anthony Albanese has spent just in the last few weeks, just since New Year.
Ooh.
$7.2 billion, $3 billion, $2 billion, $7 billion, $2 billion, $8.5 billion commitment, $4.8 billion, $1 billion.
Now, Lisa, obviously he's trying to buy votes, but when do we get to the stage where people realise deficit budgets, debt, this is just good money going after bad?
But when do people realise that every time he hits that hard B in billion, because we all know when you make a big announcement, that's the figure you want to hit, that's their money. It's taxpayer money. So if you bring it right back to energy, all of those subsidies, it's coming out of our pocket at the end of the day. And he's out there promoting, like you said, number after number after number. They are enormous numbers, but we are the ones that are paying for it. And I hope that the Coalition run campaign ads that actually clearly explain that to the Aussie taxpayer, because I don't think that's hitting them hard enough at home, thinking it's our money that's being spent, not the messaging that's coming out of the government, which is we're helping you. We're doing all of this great spending. We're helping you.